Hi, I'm Phil from Driftworks.
Hi, Miss Buddy Jane.
So we've got a bit of an unusual video for you today. We are 3 hours into a 750-mile journey in my KN Turbo, towing a trailer to go and buy something really stupid that I shouldn't buy. And we figured that while we're here sitting in a car for hours and hours and hours, we'd have a go at answering some of the questions that you guys have been asking us for kind of the 4 years that Jay and I have been doing this together. So I put it out there last night whether anybody had any questions for us on YouTube, on Instagram and Facebook, and we've ended up with about 230 questions. So we're not going to be able to do 230 questions, but we'll do our best to get through some of them at the very least, and some of the important ones. So there's loads of questions about what's happened to my 992 GT3, what's going on with the Lambo, give you updates on all of that stuff, and as well as a few questions like, how did Driftworks start and things like that. So yeah, we'll start running through them. You'll have to bear with me because there's going to be a lot of scrolling and switching between some of the apps here.
And we're currently in the no man's land between England and Scotland, so signal maybe.
Yeah, it might be touch and go. So I've just done the first 3 hour stint. We set off really super early. We've just stopped at T-Bay services for a nice
had a lovely
sandwich.
Middle class coffee, I'd call it. Yeah. Not a Greg's.
No. So now, let's get straight into it then. Right. Steve Carter asks, why orange?
The Steve Carter.
The Steve Carter. There's loads of people who've asked questions who are from the olden days.
Okay.
But why orange?
That's on you. It's
like
nothing to do with me.
He hates it. Yeah. Actually, it comes back a long way with me. I've always liked orange ever since I powder coated my KHE premium lager flatland bike orange way back in the day with, guess what colours? Bright blue, Riviera blue, Driftworks orange and Driftworks blue,
or
basically.
golf.
And this
golf colours.
I had the blue specifically. I had a Mark II Golf, very very highly modified for back then for me, and that was painted in Fiat Coupe blue, which is actually pretty similar to
I remember that
Riviera blue as well. So yeah, orange, blue, very bright colours. It's quite strange because obviously I really like black cars as well, but bit of colour pop, I'm into that too. Matt Scolding, again, old school.
Old man.
Yeah. He's got 2 questions. How do you feel about spending more time waiting for a 992 GT3 than owning one?
Oh,
there's going to be some burns.
I mean,
here.
That's a fair comment.
It is indeed. So the 992 GT3 ownership came about through sheer stubbornness, really. There was a very good chance I was never going to own it. When I put my 10 grand deposit down 6 years before I got it, even putting that deposit down does not mean that you're going to get one. It's kind of down to the dealer and the dealer principles.
Depends how many watches you buy the man.
Kind of like that, and that's how it generally works. And I do understand that's the way the world goes round. But I was, 1.4 years into it, I was asking the question, should I just have my deposit back? I was told, no, stick with it. You will get one at some point. And at that point, obviously, I'd put the deposit down for a 991.2 GT3. Missed out on that entire run of cars and allocations, and ended up very luckily getting into 992. I have zero regrets about it, but in the 6 years since putting that deposit down, my life changed, my business changed, lots of stuff changed that meant that it kind of wasn't necessarily the car that I needed anymore. And especially with how the increase in value of the thing, I'm not really very comfortable owning a car that I drove out of the showroom, or my daughter drove out of the showroom, and that day after that, it was worth £250,000.
No, it's hard to insure, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was hard to explain that.
Yeah. Well, you can't. Yeah, it's like having an agreed value on a brand new car is not something that people really understand.
And I guess at the point you put the deposit down, were they like that?
No, they weren't. So I had a 991 Gen 1 GT3 that hey, that's an interesting story I've never told anybody.
Like the Dubai car?
My white 991 GT3 was a heavily crash damaged car that I bought from Dubai and rebuilt myself.
Proper Copart business.
It was,
before Copart was a cool thing, yeah. But it was just a shady thing.
Yeah, exactly. So as part of that was why I was in favour with the Porsche dealers, because I'd spent, I think, 39,000 quid on parts in the parts department of Porsche at trade price as well. So pretty significant. I'd also bought I bought my wife the first ever brand new car I ever bought was a Macan GTS. I bought brand new, kind of as like look, take me seriously, I will buy other things other than just the GT3, and spend money in the dealer with the dealer. But yeah, actually I have zero regrets in doing that because it's completely awesome and we still own that. And that's another interesting story that I should probably talk about. Maybe my history with crash damaged cars, it could be quite relevant.
Yeah, you've got a few.
Driving back from a night out in Birmingham, through Birmingham, that Macan GTS with my wife driving was crashed into by a uninsured driver who had taken a car without consent, crashed into us, all the airbags deployed on our Macan, and then he did a run. He drove off, limped his car as far away as he could, with Martin Richards chasing him down in an E36.
Imagine this, Richard Starkey running.
Yeah, Rich Starkey back then, because he's a bit more svelte now, but he ran nearly a mile after this car and dragged the guy out of the car and put him up against the wall.
Angry man.
Yeah. So yeah, there's all sorts of interesting stories. This could be a really long thing because we're on question number 2.
We've answered 2 questions and waffled.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So I rebuilt that car because it was actually written off. I bought it back for good money because I didn't get paid out particularly good money, and because it actually didn't have any significant damage at all, even though they called it structural damage. It was a radiator support that was the problem, and I rebuilt that car good as new, paid off all the finance that I'd used to buy it, all the good things like that. But
it turned out alright, that one.
Yeah, but
unlike the GT3, you might say, because that cost you basically as much as a straight car in the end, I guess.
The white one,
yeah,
the white one, because I'm so over the top with stuff, it was rebuilt to sort of a standard it really didn't need to be necessarily for what I was going to use it for, and it was as good as new by the time I sold it. So yeah, Matt's got the second part of that question from Matt is, I don't know whether that's incorrect or not, but he says, does Jay still have his Saxo?
I didn't have a Saxo,
He's
sorry.
Had a Saxo? Dude, come on. What's going on?
But have you still got your Renault 5?
That's a good point. And actually, this third one, greediness, Matt. Right, so this is good. Do you think DW would exist if you'd have never bought your S14? And that's a really simple question.
No way?
Not at all. No way. That is my S14 is the car that got me into rear-wheel drive, got me into drifting, made me meet all of my friends, got James into an S14 as well, and then started the idea for creating the business of DriftWorks. Right, I'm going to switch to a different app now. Let's have a look on Instagram. Oh God, 99 comments alone on this.
Go on then.
How do you guys know each other? You seem to have a history. That sounds ominous, doesn't it?
Drifting?
Yeah.
Simple.
Drifting, that's how we know each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Messing about in old Japanese tap, basically.
Yeah. I mean, when we started drifting, what would you say there was 30, 40 people in the country that did it? Maybe.
Yeah, I'd say there's probably 30, 40 people that knew what it was.
Yeah, not even did it, but because Phil was Birmingham, I was Stourbridge, there was Kenny and Hales Owen. So you were like the local people, weren't you?
Yeah, and back then you'd sort of travel, do whatever, and spend all your time driving cars as much as possible, as much as you could afford. So both had real jobs. Joe was a bit more serious than me back then. He was actually committed to the BMW dealership program.
Yeah, I was slightly more committed. I mean, I hated it, but I went to work.
And I was working at a sixth form college and borrowing money that I probably shouldn't borrow to.
Oh, we both did that.
Yeah,
that's what you do when you've got a job.
Buy cars like that. But yeah, I lived at home with my parents at that point as well.
Same
so
as me.
It was a different time. So yes, we've known each other since the very early days of drifting, which we basically was
22 years now or something.
Yeah, 2001. Yeah.
It's been a while.
Yeah, crazy. Next
half
question.
my life, almost half.
Yeah,
yours.
absolutely. Well, yeah, I'm a bit older. So yeah, contrary to popular belief, I am 46 years old and still a bit of a childish twat inside. So, absolute favourite thing about Japan, and when will you give us outsiders too? That's such a difficult question. The first one's difficult. Favourite thing about Japan, I adore so much about Japan. I think it's an amazing place to visit. The people and the passion they put into absolutely anything, including cars. Like the car scene over there is incredible, but equally it's kind of still hidden away from the mainstream side of Japan. It's, I don't know, it's quirky still. Lots of genuine, really sound people who are into it. There's lots of stuff that is way more difficult in Japan. Like, I don't think I could see myself ever living there. I don't know. It's just not somewhere I'd like to travel and visit it. And I have been 3 times, and I would happily go back again. The journey with my wife collecting the 964 Turbo was one of my favourite things ever. Outsiders as well, obviously. Outsiders, I actually remember very little in comparison to the 964 collection, because it was so intense. It was like no sleep, constantly moving, crappy hotels, and just, you know, do it, and yeah, it was very stressful at times as well. Would there be an Outsiders 2? We have spoken about it at length for years, because yeah, I feel like we could go back and do kind of the same thing, but as more mature fellows. Even drag Jay there and see whether we can get
make him eat something. Yeah. No chance. I'll be living in McDonald's or starving.
But also whether we could do something different. We even looked at whether Outsiders could be something that we did in different countries. Ultimately, the planning side of it and the budget expectation became astronomical.
I mean, Al is mega busy these days.
Yeah, he is. Al, who filmed it, my very good friend, was a very different person back then. He's still as passionate as ever, but he is now tied up with, you know, people paying him actual, real, serious amounts of money for, say, the Bugatti adverts that he shoots and things like that. He is still super keen though, and has even done a bit of research whether it would be something that, say, Netflix would be interested in. But yeah, it's not come to anything yet. It doesn't mean it's written off, but nothing just yet. Let's have a look what else we've got. Okay, when are we going to see a new video with the Lambo running? Please, this thing is awesome. Quite relevant really, because we're about to start. We're about to start doing some work on it. We have a new ECU solution for it from Haltech. We're having is it an R5?
R5, yeah.
Which is a PDM ECU. We don't need so much of the PDM side of things, but it can handle 16 cylinders, and that will allow us to, and 2 throttle bodies, electronic throttle bodies, so we can basically run the engine on one ECU, which is what it has always struggled with, that car. So hopefully see some more on that soon. Can't promise anything too extravagant sort of driving wise, because it's getting to that point in the year for us where we don't drive a lot of our cars.
Well, you drove that once in the winter, didn't you? And we ended up taking the whole front off and redoing every bit of box section. It wasn't.
Yeah, I used to be that guy that was like, oh, whatever, I'll drive my car in all circumstances, whatever car it is, not when it's a steel box frame Italian thing.
I guess it depends if you're going to keep it.
Yeah.
If you plan on just running it for a couple of years and getting rid of it, it makes sort of no difference, does it? Yeah. But like even our Yaris last winter, we used it once in December.
Yeah.
We washed it, parked it on the ramp, and even the KWs were showing signs of salt, and that's KWs.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a bit of a difficult thing. The 964 has also had the underside dry ice blasted. So that again, if I was even consider driving it on a semi-salted road, I'd have to do quite a lot of work to do that. my 997 GT3, which isn't sold, again dry ice blasted underneath, really super clean, and is kind of still for sale, so I'm reluctant to go and make it worse than it currently is. So yeah, Lambo stuff coming soon though, long and short of it. What's your favourite pizza topping?
Meat.
Jay will have as much meat as
No,
long as it's from real animals.
Well, I'm not that fussy, but as long as it's like, you know, like as long as it's labelled as real animals, then yes, I will eat it.
As long as it's not vegan.
That's what I'm trying to say. yeah. Politely trying to say.
He's happy to eat halal or whatever turkey-based pepperoni.
Turkey,
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's meat
Yeah,
and cheese.
meat. And I like. I'd go for like something usually with jalapenos on it and pepperoni. Not too much meat. I'm not chicken, spicy chicken and stuff like that. I'm into. What do you two think about Johnny Carvert's Allegro project? So that's Johnny Smith from the Late Break Show.
I'm not the person to talk about Allegro.
Well, there's two things. Allegros, I know why he's done it, and obviously he has his own tastes and ideas and everything like that, and I fully respect the idea, the concept, and obviously Adam, who's doing a lot of the work, is doing some incredible stuff. There's two things that I don't like that are part of it, and one is most British cars of that era, and the other is K-series engines. I effing hate them. They sound
There's nothing wrong with the engine, it's just the noise.
Yeah, the power, amazing. Durability, apart from Craig, amazing. There is no fix for how atrocious they sound. Whatever you do to them. So yeah, like I say, fully appreciate the engineering side of it and everything like that, and it will probably be quite a cool thing sitting there when it's done, or even going super fast around a track, but not overall my cup of tea.
I just have a real problem with anything British Leyland.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a stupid story, so I'll tell it. It all comes from growing up where I did. There was a lot of, there was people's dads that worked at Rover,
Yeah.
or whatever, at Austin, or it was Rover, I guess, by then. And there was a kid that we used to knock about with, and yeah, we found him. I don't even know. Watch this. Maybe I won't tell the story.
British Leyland cars. So my two first cars were minis, and I will just call them minis because they're not classic minis. They're minis, and the other ones are BMW minis.
But just British Leyland. It's not a real make.
It's kind of not, and it was ruined by unions.
Strikes.
Basically, unions are the enemy of any kind of success in the automotive sector at that sort of scale in the UK.
And they all got on strike in America as well. I think that the union is in every manufacturer or something. I saw yesterday gone on strike.
Yeah. You want to take something that your country is really proud of and just completely destroy it. Just allow unions to.
It's a tough one though, isn't it?
It is.
Because
there were also crap cars, and all of the problem is half of the people who worked at the Rover
were stealing engines.
Were nicking everything anyway. So I'm not kidding you, half the people that. It's probably more.
I remember there was a bloke that we used to know, and he clocked in at work, drove somewhere up north to buy an Escort Turbo, drove back and clocked out, and no one missed him in the day. It was almost a joke. Well, it was a joke, and there was people driving out the gates with engines in the boot, and it was no wonder they went bust.
People used to have to rent lockups to store all the stuff that they'd driven out the gates of the Rover.
I mean, let's face it, it's going to be the same at JLR, because I've seen a man with boxes of keys trying to sell them to Mark.
Right.
So like crates of keys, not like 4 keys.
So yeah. But are you yam yams? I'm not. He is.
Well, you see.
Explain the difference, because international audience and all that.
Well, you would class a yam yam as someone from the Black Country, I guess.
Yep.
And when I was born in Stourbridge, it wasn't the Black Country, but it is now.
Oh right, okay. Yeah, accent wise,
I would class.
Jay's more of a yammer than me. I'm Birmingham, and also sort of Moseley area, middle class, slightly posh knobbish area. Well drug up a little bit, and
drugs.
Yeah. That's a different story. So yeah, I'm not. Jay is. Jay, how's the Mustang doing?
It's fine. It's at home.
There's a few questions that are the same here, and a few of them will extend on that. Why haven't we seen it?
Because I haven't done much to it. I've had it on the road just year, 18 months now, is it? And I've driven it about 1,000 miles.
Yeah.
Got another MOT. I took it out last weekend for the first time in ages.
Yeah.
And the problem I've got is I don't have that much time at the weekends and whatever when I'm allowed to do something fun. And if I'm going somewhere in a car that I want to go in, I'll take the Nova.
Still, number one car is Jay's Nova.
It is my absolute favourite.
But you did tell me one thing about the Mustang, because Jay, when Jay does take the Mustang out, it's not necessarily what you want to do. Stick a GoPro in it.
No,
I
definitely
feel
not.
like you need to go and do something for the GoPro.
Like it's too fast.
Yeah.
The problem I've got with it. We'll tell the story first.
So what did you find out this weekend?
This weekend I got stuck at Tesco's and it wouldn't start. But it will start if you pull a plug lead off. But anyway, I haven't got to the bottom of that yet. That's another story for another day. But I have discovered that I thought I'd been driving it on full boost, and I've been driving around at 17 PSI and thinking it was fast.
And what's the real full boost mode?
22.
So yeah, Jay has yet to actually experience the full power of his nuts car.
I mean, yeah, I live in a place where you have to drive to get to a dual carriageway.
Yeah.
So there's nowhere to. It's too fast, realistically, for the road.
Yeah, it genuinely is.
Yeah.
Like, and that's a bit of a thing with it's a whole different, discussion about modern cars and stuff in general. But this is different to that, because it does have really good traction. It's like surprisingly good traction.
Incredible traction, but the steering is very American.
Yeah.
It's not that confident when you get up to. Well, I'm not that confident in it when you get up to speed.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. I enjoy the thrill of a quick squeeze, but what else am I going to do with it? That's the point I'm at with it.
Yeah, like a quick squeeze. When a quick squeeze is like 130
40
mile an hour
before you even know it.
Yeah,
it's just, yeah.
It's a different game. And like Jay says, when you haven't got the steering that comes with like the new car that that has fantastic steering, it's a bit terrifying.
Yeah.
Where did the idea come from to start Driftworks? I'm on the YouTube ones now. It came from buying parts for my S14 and having to get them from Japan, from Takakura. Yeah,
that was some website.
Yeah, and you used to. It was a good online website where you could find lots of stuff. Like Apexi exhaust.
Well, anything in Japan,
pretty much anything. I bought Vertex body kit parts from there as well.
That's the reason I have PayPal.
Yeah.
There was no reason to have it.
But when I first started, you had to fax your card details over.
Oh, did you really? I used PayPal.
Like, so you actually had to have a fax machine in your house or your dad's business or whatever, and fax over card details to pay for stuff, and then it would kind of just turn up, often the big stuff by sea,
6-8
2
weeks
months,
later,
3 months later. Small stuff, sometimes it would arrive pretty quickly.
Oh, I got a story about that actually. Yeah. Go on, you can tell.
Basically that's how it started. Right. Was from a need of couldn't get the stuff that we wanted in the UK, had to buy direct from Japan, so decided to set up Driftworks to supply stuff for these cars. So yeah, go
Takakura. So it was a website that would get you anything in Japan. So if I wanted a good line bumper for my Corolla, and I put a big order in. Basically, I had T37s come in, I had good line J-Blood bonnet, basically everything you ever wanted from what were those magazines called? Hot Version magazine, were they? Yeah, so that was basically a catalogue, and you just put the order in on email, and they contact the supplier, and the parts would come in 4 to 6 weeks to them, and they'd come over.
Yeah.
And I remember on this order we had 2 bumpers coming, because I got one for our friend Paz as well, and I selected air shipping because it didn't look too bad, but you didn't pay the shipping until the stuff landed in England. And I remember the order landing at it landed at London, and then it got flown up to East Midlands, which I had to pay for, and then I had to pay for lorry to my work as well. And I remember the lady phoning from the shipping company and was like, "You owe us £1,400, how do you want to pay?" And I was like, "I don't have £1,400.
And also £1,400 back then.
Well, it was well over a month's wages.
Yeah.
Like, it was almost 2 months' wages, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Give me a minute.
But got it, paid it, you know, debts.
Yeah, I'd already borrowed the money to buy
Got
the
a sick
stuff.
car though, right? So, you know,
Cool.
that's how life worked back then.
Yeah.
Interesting question here. How has Brexit affected the business? It has fucking destroyed us. It's completely changed our business. There is not a single good thing that has come from Brexit and all the people that voted it. You know, I'm not blaming anybody for thinking that things could be better, but nothing, as far as businesses are concerned, you know, especially businesses like ours, where a good 45% of our trade was to Europe beforehand, and that in the preceding following 2-3 months of Brexit happening, that reduced down to a very, very low, like 5%. And we've now recovered a bit with European sales. We've had to dramatically increase our domestic sales to compensate. But yeah, that combined with COVID and everything to do with that has meant that business has been incredibly challenging recently, which is why, you know, I say it in the videos quite frequently, is I really appreciate you guys coming and shopping at Driftworks, because it genuinely does make the difference between us doing dumb stuff with cars or not at all. So yeah, a lot of stuff that we have to do, a lot of the changes that we've had to make to the website are so dramatic, and lots of people, like even shipping companies, they've had to redesign their whole business and then come and tell us how to do it, and then it's still
I remember at the start you couldn't ship, like the shipping company was just sending stuff back, wasn't
yeah
it?
We do, and we still have that. We still have stuff, we send stuff to Europe and they go nah, and it comes back to us, and that's all our cost. So yeah, catastrophically bad, I'd say. We are an adaptive company with a really good techie team behind us. So James, my business partner, sort of handles more of the technical side of the business, along with his brother who works for us, who is our chief technical officer. They have had an interesting time of it over the past 3 or 4 years, let's put it that way. It has not been fun. Thanks Brexit.
I mean, 2020 was alright when the free money was about,
but
it's gone now.
It's just I mean, that in itself is a terrible thing for the UK as well. Like all this, we'll gift you this and we'll make it all right, this, that and the other. It's overall, how much debt is the country in now, what position we're in, why are prices so high? Well, it's because of all of these decisions to help people, this, that and the other, and the working from home thing that, you know, a lot of companies suffer with. My God, that's second to unions, that is. That, seriously. Yeah, I could be more efficient working at home. Come off it, you lot.
Blaggers.
Right, lots of stuff about outsiders too, so yeah, already covered that one. So here's one, you can answer this one. 10k budget, 5k for a car and 5k for the mods. It can be for drift, street or track. What do you choose? Come on.
I don't know.
Spot, because it's a lot of money. Back in the day, that was a lot of money when we were into just JDM stuff, and before America had ruined the prices of JDM stuff. You could get a lot for 5k.
I don't. The trouble is, these days, I mean, I do look at cars all the time, but you don't look at cars at $5,000 anymore because they're gone.
Well, yeah, it would have been, you know, 5 to 10 years ago, definitely would have been E36 M3 Evo. Yeah. And then all of the associated track mods. And that's boring answer, I know, but
you'd be under 10 grand.
Then you'd have one of the best cars that you can
get. I sort of am looking at that at the moment.
But it's a lot more money than that, though.
But no, because I'm trying to get a rally car.
Yeah.
And that is the sort of budget I'm looking at. But yeah, I don't know. It has to be a BMW E36.
Yeah.
If it's a track car, E36 328, you can still get one of those for under $5,000.
Yeah.
Coilovers, brake pads, you'd be under 10 grand easy.
And you'd have a lot of fun in it. And
if you want a nice life, you don't change the engine.
Yeah.
Or not, you know, you don't change the engine for an engine that doesn't bolt in.
Yeah, yeah. So, oh God, this is going to be a complicated one. What's your thoughts on the way UK drifting is going? Question mark. No BDC, no larger comps or championships, and the takeover of European drifting and how wild it's getting.
Well, you can't argue with how good Europe is.
No.
That's incredible.
It's fantastic. Yeah, watching bits of what have the drift masters.
Yeah, I mean, we don't.
Oh my God.
Oh, I certainly don't follow it like I used to. Like,
No.
it used to be my life,
Yeah,
and that was it. There was nothing else.
and that Jay saying that is probably part of. It's the start to the explanation as to why I am not so into it anymore. Obviously, it's costly. Obviously, there's many factors involved in doing a good job of competing and getting value for money out of the investment in terms of return, not only for the business but also for me getting value seat time wise, stuff like that.
Well, and having fun.
Yeah, and that's it. Ultimately, the reason why I don't really do drifting anymore is because my mates don't do it. It's literally as simple.
I mean,
as
that's
that.
what wrote it off for me.
Yeah.
I mean, not answering that question, but we'll come to it. But I remember the split when D1 UK came.
Yeah.
And I didn't get the license, and everybody else did.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I went to a couple of Euro drifts, but you're sort of on your own.
Yeah. It's not. The same.
And when everybody wasn't there, I would rather go and spend the weekend with my friends at D1, or which became EDC, than go somewhere on my own.
Yeah, because it was like the driving was a part of it. It was the excuse to have the get together, the party, the fun, the build up to it as well, getting the cars ready, everything like that. We were all doing it together. It's all, it's just one big happy family of having fun doing the same thing. And then it's a very, very different thing now, because obviously back then as well, kind of we were part of the small group of people who started drifting in the UK. Believe it or not, it wasn't the Fast and the Furious that started drifting in the UK.
It was a man called Kiki.
Yeah, Kiki Saknana, who is a very good guy. He's a good guy.
A very good guy, sir.
And Option Drift Club. So Option Drift Club was one of the two first drift teams in the UK.
Yeah.
It possibly was the
He
first
used to
one.
have a little company by Silverstone called Option Motorsport.
Yeah.
And he used to, I mean, we didn't appreciate it fully at the time.
Nah.
But it started at a little airfield, Tour Western.
Yep.
And he did a few events there. And I remember the first one I went to, I think, was the 2002 D1 final, they'd called it.
Yep.
And I remember the fog going in the morning. I was going down this rough track and I had to phone my mate. And I was like, am I in the right place? I was driving into a field. But no, it was. And it happened.
Yeah.
And then he decided, because it turns out he's quite high up in Thailand, I don't know what you call it, like
Royalty?
Yeah. Well, he's not the king, but,
No, but
his family knew the king or whatever, so he wasn't short of money. But he basically used to rent Silverstone and charge us £60 to go and drift on it.
And then we used to complain when we got told to put stickers on.
Yeah,
for sponsors.
stickers and 60 quid. You want us to wear a race suit? I'm not wearing a race suit.
Exactly. We literally had. Well, number one, we had no idea how lucky we were, and also number two, we had no idea what we were doing.
No, that was a big thing.
There was nobody to copy. We were watching what people did on videos,
on option
on
videos,
literally
option
on DVDs
VHS
and VHS, and we were trying to replicate what we felt was the overall vibe, because nothing was translated.
No, I was going to say there was
literally
no
all Japanese.
Yeah.
But we were trying to replicate,
smash
things,
the pedals,
and we watch the old footage now, and it's stuff where back then we were like, oh my god, I've just done the sickest thing I've ever done in my life now.
Yeah.
And now you look at it and you're just like,
turn it off.
That's weak.
Turn it off now.
Like, and I can fully understand why new people to the scene would look at stuff like that and go, well, I thought that was supposed to be good. But we really were.
It was very easy to get into then, though, wasn't it?
It was.
Anybody. There was just an airfield full of old Nissans basically spinning off.
Yep.
And that's just what everybody did.
Yep. And it was fantastic, because in many ways, because it was a really small group of people.
Yeah, I mean, it was
50,
at the time
50 at the max, wasn't
I would say before the internet was an acceptable way of meeting people.
Yeah.
Like, it was a bit weird to meet people on the internet still.
Yeah, it was. You were a bit worried about it.
And it was.
And we met some amazing people, some really weird people. Like, I met him; he's super weird. But there's much weirder. Some really crazy people as well. But ultimately it created this group of friends that, since then we've basically all stuck around doing car stuff in one form or another for the following 20 years.
And we're going to keep going. But no, it's a bit sad about UK drifting, but what can we do? It's so expensive and the venues don't want you there.
Yeah.
So what it is. I
It's-
mean, for
it's
me,
gone-
it's
it's
not
gone-
the same in a car park.
No, it's not.
It's not the same as being on a track, which is why I enjoy track days more.
Yeah, I was going to say, we were saying that Kiki's team, which was team option.
Well, it was option till Option
Option,
magazine turned up,
yeah.
and then it was OPT Drift Club, because
yeah.
it got slightly in
But
trouble.
the other of the two teams was Team Night Spirit, which is basically us lot.
And talking of Carter and Skeldon earlier, it's Team Demon as well.
That was probably 2005
5 or 6, I guess,
something like
yeah.
that. So yeah, lots of stuff came out of it. Basically, it evolved from there. More people got into it, and you know, it got really, really, really big.
It got big quite fast, didn't it?
Yeah, and then all of the normal stuff that happens with anything: politics,
Money.
tracks closing, money involved, sponsors, this, that, and the other.
Because at the level we started, anybody could have done it. Because, you know, it was £60 a round to enter.
Yeah.
Nobody had a trailer.
No.
You used to drive your car.
140 mile an hour.
I didn't. I was in a Corolla and it used to do 60 and you couldn't hear a thing. And this was the days when you could use your phone in the car and nobody had sent you to jail.
Yeah.
And I remember trying to phone people in a Corolla at 60 miles. I stripped out
I remember
Corolla.
that.
And it was just
Impossible.
the diff noise of rose jointed 5 links, I suppose it would have been. It was just like. So, this was long before noise cancelling technology.
So yeah, we are so far out of
The loop?
with UK stuff, and have been for, you know, probably 10 years.
Yeah.
I've still, you know, kept my toe in a little bit.
I mean,
bringing one of my cars out
we
from
got
time
to the
time.
point where we used to almost go to do BDC because we thought we had to.
Yeah.
You know, like the last few years.
Yeah, there was a point when it was kind of, I was doing it for the sake of the business, feeling like we needed to do that for the sake of Driftworks, and it's not fun when you force yourself to do stuff. And I've done quite well. I'd won 2 of the championships outright, and I've got, you know, podiums for whatever 10 years, like 10 years worth of like regular podiums. So I'd had my success, and yeah, I just didn't really feel like. I also like to, generally in life, I like to like kind of move forward a little bit. But the biggest thing I say is probably ultimately that my friends group didn't do it anymore, so I don't do quite so much of it as, you know, I once did. Let's go to, where's Starkey gone? Starkey is
In the office.
still works for Driftworks. He's still our sales manager, still doing a fantastic job, looking after his health quite well. He actually
he
is,
is
which
these
quite,
days, to be fair,
he's doing really well at the moment, because he got pretty big. He's actually doing, and a lot of people joked about this back in the day, but he's actually doing kind of powerlifting now.
Yeah,
which
he is,
it seems like he's very well suited to. Do you want to? You like saying things that aren't socially acceptable. Do you want to say what Webby says he's got?
Oh, Mong power.
Mong strength.
Yeah, Mong strength. Yeah.
So yeah,
He's a bit like a little. What does he play? World of Warcraft. He's like a little dwarf with an axe now, isn't
and
he?
yeah, he does love World of Warcraft. He paints all his characters still, and but no, cars wise, still got his S15. He doesn't use it. He's really not that into cars that much, I'd say.
He likes to take it places and have people look at it.
Yeah.
It doesn't like anything else to do with it.
No. And yeah, he had a wheel fall off the other day.
Oh yeah, he didn't do his wheels up and he
Yeah.
drove home. And I mean, we've all been there.
But he's had his one outing in it for this year, and it'll be back on the shelf again for the rest of the year now.
Yeah.
But no, regards to YouTube, he is running our Driftworks shop channel, which you should definitely go and check out. It is, you know, obviously more shop-based stuff, but there's some fun stuff on there, like some fitting videos with Jay.
So if you miss him,
But yeah, if you know, we'd appreciate it if you go and subscribe to that channel too. But I did have him in a video that we filmed at LZ Fest in Mondello. I've just not been able to make that video good enough to put out, because it was a bit of a rainy weekend, and just
I wasn't there to bring the sunshine.
well, yeah, we miss Jay, but no, Starkey will still be seen in some of the videos from time to time. He still loves bumbling in and interrupting us doing
Borising.
something.
Yeah.
How did you, Jay? I mean, kipper or sausage? Come on, whatever that.
What, as a
means.
food?
As a choice?
It's not about getting bummed, is it?
I don't know. It might be.
Well, if you're talking about getting bummed, I want a kipper. But otherwise, I want a sausage.
Let's move on swiftly. Right. You were recently looking into F80s. What would be the build plan for that? More details, the better. Probably wouldn't be a build plan as such. So, sold my 992 GT3. Part of the reason I sold that was because I basically don't daily drive the car. That's pretty much what I use it for, which is absolutely insane. It's always been there in my mind as the backup for track stuff. Whenever if I'm having slight problems with the E30 in the build up to getting it ready for a track day, I always think, I could just pop in the 992 GT3. That's what it's built for. It's a track car. Now, that's all very well until you actually work out the consequence of when something goes wrong in your I'll just take my GT3
as we saw on that track day in the Nürburgring.
Yeah, track day in the Nürburgring, one of the third laps, 902 GT3 in the barriers, written off, all corners gone, done, no insurance. Basically that guy, he was European, lost 200,000 euros in one day. And I know that people like to think I'm Mr. Moneybags, or Mo Money Morrison, as
that's what we used to call you.
Used to call me.
Yeah.
There is a limit to that, and obviously I like to think I've got a little bit of sense when it comes to what's a good and what's a bad financial decision, and I felt like it's a pretty bad financial decision to keep the 992 whilst it's depreciating and just using it as a daily driver that it is not very good at. Fun, don't get me wrong, absolutely love it, but yeah. So I decided, okay, I'd get the money out of that, sell that on, and part of that has allowed me to buy what we're going to collect, which is a very silly idea, but something that's been on a promise for knocking on for 3 months, I think, something like that. So it's finally allowed me to go and collect this, which is really good. And then replacing the daily driver element, I figured an F80 would be a good choice. I was really disappointed with F80s when they came out, because I was driving an E90 M3, one of the best cars ever made, with the last ever real M car engine ever made, and they brought along this new car which was fatter and had a terrible sounding turbocharged engine, and basically just blew the tyres off like a drift car every time I drove it, because I had one that had a competition as a courtesy car when I took one. I had an M2 as well. I bought an M2, which was my second brand new car that I ever bought, and I bought a manual black M2, which was pretty cool. But yeah, the F80, I just didn't feel like it was a worthy successor in many ways to be called an M car.
Was it the first turbo one?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, so it missed a couple of the major points for me, which was number one, sound obviously matters a lot to me, and power delivery and the way it puts the power down. Admittedly, I was test driving it in winter and it was on the 20s, the comp wheels, but it had absolutely zero traction at any time, and I just didn't feel like it was like a good track car, a proper M car. Obviously that's been proven wrong countless times now in terms of people using them on track. They're absolute weapons, all the parts are there. We sell a load of stuff for them as well. They're a brilliant way to go very, very fast around the Nürburgring, for example. And yeah, as time's gone on, I feel that BMW's gone so far wrong with the new G80 and how disgusting that looks, and I don't care what anyone says, it's foul. It's a beast of a thing.
I'm determined to hate it.
Yeah.
Like, that's how bad it is, because the first...
Even if your brain gets tricked a little bit.
Yeah, exactly, because the first time I saw it, I thought it was a joke.
Yeah. And that's what you should stick to.
And now I've got to keep that in my mind.
Loads of people
it's a joke
I've
car.
actually changed my mind. I didn't quite like them. It's like,
no, joke car.
That means that they have fucked with your head.
You've been marketed, mate.
Have you been marketed? No, it's disgusting. It's a monstrosity. Not just the grills, but the stupid snouty thing on the front. It's disgusting. And also, it's got one of my most hated things in it. It has a torque converter.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah.
Was it 8 HP or
yeah,
the newest?
Like, just... It's
That's
good though, it
shifts
really fast, and yeah, whatever. It's not a sports car. Yeah, I don't, no car that I'm interested in for that type of use.
The only car that should have a torque converter should do a wheelie.
Or this one,
tow
which
car.
is incredibly fast, tow car.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is 560 horsepower, 570 horsepower with, I think it's probably an 8 HP or something behind it as well, but yeah,
generic.
tow car, perfect. And that's kind of why, so now that the G80's taken the crown of the worst car, I actually...
Well, it's not as bad as the X5 thing.
No,
that is an absolute joke.
Oh my God.
Whatever it's called.
But yeah, the F80 suddenly becomes, because it's still a new car, and you know, I like to have a new car as my main daily driver. F80 has become quite appealing, and I was going to see whether I could fix it without having to fix the sound of the bloody thing, without having to have one of those wiggly stupid pipes that people put on them. I don't think I can, but you know, I'd like the engineering challenge.
I don't think there's any fix of it. We were in the pits the other day with the GT4 G80, and that sounded horrific.
Yep, and there is a fix, and it's a single turbo setup, which I have thought about doing, but it's a pretty dumb idea to do for your road car.
Don't need that.
But yeah,
just leave the standard exhaust on.
Yeah, I think that's probably the answer. But yes, I will probably F with it.
Well, you know it's going to be low.
Yeah.
And you know it's going to have different wheels.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to find a CS, ideally, because I want a nice spec with carbon ceramic brakes. Is one of the things that I really don't want to not have.
Tell them about your headlight fetish.
Oh yeah, and obviously I need the 2008 version with the latest model adaptive
2018.
headlights. 2018, sorry.
Yeah.
With the latest model adaptive, I think they're Icon 2 headlights. Because once you see the other headlights against that headlight, you're like, well, that's the best one. So that means that's what I have to have.
Yeah, you got to think about headlights, haven't you?
I have, yeah. Specking headlights on a brand new car, it's like tick the maximum box every time. There's no choice. There's certain things you have to do.
Tick the one that burns my eyes out and makes me have a black window in the back of my Citroen. Everybody out there with a Range Rover.
Yeah. Well, you're like down there, and
I couldn't deal with it anymore, so I just got the darkest tint and put it on the back window. And
he's lying. He just did it so it fits in around Birmingham. So yeah, that's it for the F80. Is just an idea. There's one for sale that's 2016 that has carbon ceramics on it. I really like, but it's missing a lot of the stuff that you get with a newer car, which I think.
And the headlights.
Yeah, being the fancy fucker that I am nowadays, because I've ruined. The problem is you can't go backwards as well. Really difficult when you've had a certain level of car as your daily driver. It's really difficult to kind of have what's going to be massively considered a downgrade.
I went from a Mercedes estate to a Citroen C1.
Why did you do that though?
Because it was basically cheaper to buy the Citroen at £20 a week than it cost me than put diesel in the Mercedes.
Yeah. But his alternative idea to getting the Citroen was to get an AMG.
E55. It was petrol, and you can drive it into the centre of Birmingham for the one time a year that I ever do that.
Yeah, when we go and get chicken or burgers.
Occasionally, yeah. Works out.
Right, I've got to change the battery on this, 1 second.
Already? The worst.
Right, new battery. This is a record for us, I
Round
think.
two,
yeah. Long video. I hope we're not boring you to death. If we are, sorry.
Well, it feels like it's going smoothly from where we're sitting.
Yeah. What was the worst car either of you brought? Hang on a minute. I'm going to have to bring this up, but just because this is for my wife. She has such a massive problem between the use of the word bought and brought. So yeah, if she read that, her head would explode. So what was the worst car either of you bought? Jay, go on.
Bedford midi van.
A midi van?
Bought it in the dark off eBay for £300. Got it home and was like, oh no, there was another one.
I was going to say, was it not the Transit pickup?
No, that was much better than the midi van. I had the midi van before the Transit car transport thing.
Yeah.
And there was also a Clio that Craig stitched me up with that told me it was all right, and then when I got there it was certainly not all right, and I had to take it to auction. But no, okay. Bedford midi van.
I mean, that's pretty damn extreme. I mean, I had I don't really have a massive regret with it because we couldn't afford anything else at the time, but the LDV, first
the
van,
police LDV.
Yeah, ex-police LDV van. It was a riot van. Let me point this at you a bit more. Ex-riot van, ex-prisoner containment van, and that was the first ever commercial vehicle we had at Driftworks.
Right,
it did some miles.
We used it for a few years, didn't we?
But I think that it's supposed to have like a weight, a thing that changes the rear brake bias based on the weight that's in the bed, and that did not work at all. So it would.
But it was made in England.
It was very, very frequently you'd find it just locking up two wheels and spinning you towards a roundabout quite aggressively. But yeah, that was probably one of the worst. I had when I first started Driftworks back at my first house, I had a Carlton Estate that was not the worst car, because
it was a Carlton Estate looking back. It was
gifted to me by a very good friend of mine that I used to work with at the college, who unfortunately has passed away now. So I've actually got really quite fond memories of that car and the whole, when I worked at Sixth Form College with him, he was head of security, and we had some absolutely fantastic times. But he gifted me that. It was the car that he used pretty much solely for transporting his guard dogs, his security dogs. So it absolutely stank, really, really stank. But when we decided to start the business, I put everything into that, driving the free Vauxhall Carlton Estate. That was probably one of the worst vehicles that I've had. I don't think I've had many things that I really regret car-wise, because I generally research stuff quite heavily before I actually commit to anything. So yeah, that's that one. Let's load up something else again.
Is he going to load round here?
Greatest D&B track of all time.
Ooh. I'll go for greatest memory, because I don't think you can name greatest track.
Yeah.
And that's DJ Crust Warhead.
Nice.
Because I remember when that track came out, it was at the time that we used to go raving a lot, and that was the big tune.
When raving was actually raving.
Yeah, when it was a rave.
When you used to, I remember going to, I think it was Helter Skelter.
Yeah, I went to Milton Keynes many times.
New Year's Eve.
Yeah, I remember New Year's 2000, asleep on the train station in Milton Keynes.
Yeah. How are we going to get home? I don't know, we'll work it out. And then
I had a train ticket, but I also remember a Scouser man trying, because you got given a tape. It was a terrible event anyway, it was the worst one we ever went to, but you got given a tape pack on the way out.
Yep.
And I remember a Scouser man walking up and down the train with a lighter and a can of deodorant, saying he was going to blast everybody if he didn't give them their tape packs. The stereotypes, and then there's
there is definitely,
yeah.
Favourite track, there's so much of it, favourite for the particular environment, like dance stuff, like jump up stuff, but actually listening wise, pretty much anything by LTJ Buckham is my go-to.
Then it's the intelligent.
Yeah, more of the intelligent side of things, but yeah, still, I still really like much more aggressive stuff. Modern stuff, I'm really not that.
Don't listen to Jump Up now. That's a joke noise.
It is. we as old men, after one of our Christmas do's, went to a drum and bass night in Birmingham in the gay quarter there, and
we should have known when the bouncer was like, it's drum and bass, and we're like, yeah, we love drum and bass.
No, he turned around and looked at James, my business partner, who was wearing corduroys in his normal, and he's like, do you know what's on tonight? And we were like, yeah, drums and brass.
We love drum and bass. Not that noise, we don't.
Yeah, so it was really good when we got in there, because they were playing old school sets, and then it was kind of whatever, it turned to 11:30, and it turned into this new version Jump Up, because Jump Up used to be quite good back when
it used to be quite positive, didn't it? But then it turned into just noises.
Yeah.
So anyway, old men made it.
Old men, yeah. Blah 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 blah. Any cars you regret selling? Dream car, money no object. Okay, that's two questions. Cars I regret selling? None. There are cars obviously that I would like back, hence why I've bought 3 of 4 of my cars back. Cars that I've owned before, I've bought them back. I don't regret selling anything, because I wouldn't have been able to move on to the next thing to find out whether that was for me or not, whether that was a good thing or a bad thing. So you could say it's just a constant rolling thing, where if I hadn't have sold, say, my JZX 100 Chaser back in the day, ultimately I wouldn't have ended up in a blue GT3 or even a black 992 GT3. All of that is incremental steps to get where you currently are. It's not anywhere where I plan to be, not even slightly, but so no regrets. The stuff that I do like and I would have back, and then the stuff like people always ask, would you have the original Driftworks S14 back? And no, it's too far gone.
I mean, you would if it was as it was.
Yeah, it's just been chopped up. It's had what you do to drift cars done to it, which is make it more competitive, chop bits off when you crash them, put your sponsor paint on it, different colours, change the engine for more powerful on it. It's such a tiny portion of it is still the Driftworks S14 that it just wouldn't be of any interest.
I don't know. I think I'd regret. I wouldn't say I regret selling my E36 M3, but I do miss it. And money.
What did you get into when you sold that though? What did you buy?
I stopped working at BMW.
Yeah.
And bought an MX-5 just for a fun car.
Yeah.
But the money no object 100% would be some sort of old competition car, because I don't want to go down the pub in a supercar, and I'm quite lucky that you have all these cars.
Yeah.
And it really has to remove for me the want of them.
Yeah.
Like I have
But
no
it has
interest.
for me as well, almost to a certain degree.
No interest in owning any of them, but I would have an old WRC car, an old RS500 or something that's special and one of one, and nobody else has got it.
Yeah, I mean, most of the things that I aspire to own are builds, are like something that, you know, because that is a big part of what interests me about cars, and same for you I think, is like actually like doing stuff and improving things. So that's why it's quite relevant what Jay says in terms of not being that interested in supercars. The one side of that is that, like, yeah, they're silly expensive and they're kind of already like modified. They're kind of almost as good as they can get from the factory, so there's very little to do to them. The other side of things for me is, and you know, that's part of what made me sell the 992 GT3, is that I just don't want to own something that's that expensive. Like, I don't feel like it brings extra enjoyment apart from maybe the novelty aspect of it, the uniqueness. But the uniqueness I get from a lot of my builds, like people who know, and probably more specifically people whose opinion I respect, will like, say for example, the V10 E46 M3 more than they like my Lamborghini, or maybe more than they like my 992 GT3, because those people are probably more like me, and I'm more likely to get on with them, is to have a drink down the pub with them, that type of thing. A lot of the people who own supercars and who have this outlook where they want to be successful to own a supercar, I kind of hate it. I really dislike a lot of I just don't have anything in common with the people who choose that as their path, that their ultimate goal with cars is to own a supercar. Now, in contrast to that, just going to contradict myself completely here, the engineering side of some supercars is really interesting to me, and the one car in particular that I have watched a lot of videos on, and obviously where the sound is up, because that is probably the most important single thing about this car, is the Pagani Huayra R, the track car, because they've taken a step back from turbocharged. It is a V12 naturally aspirated, completely insane sounding race car that looks pretty sick as well. Like the Paganis they're all right. You know, I can never see myself driving one around on the roads. But
if you want to experience, it's not that one, it was the Zonda R, but there's a guy on YouTube, Italian guy, David, I think his name's Coroni, I can't say it, it's Italian, David Coroni, whatever, drive.it or something like that. And he's got a thing now where Pagani will let him drive the cars on track, and the one with the Zonda R is incredible. Yeah,
Zonda R, absolutely amazing. Huayra R, the noise and the, oh my god, just absolutely insane. And one of the videos that I've watched is a few of them racing, which is just the coolest. It just reminds me of the good era of racing V12s and high revving, naturally aspirated, all the things that I love in cars basically. And that can be 4 cylinders, whatever. Just the noise is such a big part of whether I think a car is something I want to own or not. So yeah, that's probably the very long answer to that.
What was the question?
That was like
we're done.
Money no objects.
That one. Yeah, something special.
Would you recommend Craig doing engine turbo conversions, and will it be finished in 1 month? Yes and no.
We would recommend Craig.
Yeah.
But there's no chance he's going to take on a job that he has no interest in.
Yeah. He does not need to do work. That Craig is a massively passionate person. He needs to kind of pay a few bills, but he is done well enough.
Past the point in life, yeah.
He's paid off his mortgages. He does what he feels like doing, and he doesn't feel in any way obliged to do stuff.
I mean, basically these days, if it's not a V8, he'd do a V8 turbo, I guess.
Yeah, he would.
Maybe.
But yeah, inside a month, he is very good at what he does, time-wise. But yeah,
no, you're talking a year.
There is nothing where a custom conversion can take. Yeah, a month. A properly custom conversion, it's not possible when you create stuff one-off. So no, not that. Somebody says, will it have a turbo? And I'm guessing they're talking about Vitten, because a lot of people are confused about why you'd create that exhaust header setup to a single point and not have a turbo on the end of it.
I mean, why not?
It won't have a turbo, but I'm not averse to the idea. Like, say for instance, if when we actually get it running properly, and for some reason it doesn't sound better than it did.
I mean, we have had it
normal.
running. We've been working on it quite a lot lately, and
it sounds good.
And at the moment, we've got water in it. We've got it sat there idling, and it sounds a lot better.
Yeah, but turbo certainly not in the short term. It was never naturally aspirated.
Turbo,
for me is life. There are a few occasions where turbos I do enjoy.
And again, going back to the Mustang, you can make things too fast. What are you going to do with it?
I'd say my 94 turbo is way too fast.
Yeah, well,
way too fast.
It's a brilliant idea in your head, but you've got to use the thing, and it's.
Mine is fucking dangerous as well. I was saying to you about there's a particular pretty much straight section of road that's semi-uphill that I can do a second, third gear pull on quite easily and quite regularly. And I, the other day, fully dry, nice, good temperature in the day, did first and second gear lit the tyres like it does quite frequently, but this time it got itself into, with me correcting because the car kind of stepped, so it stepped out. I corrected not only with steering, counter steering a little bit as you do, but a tiny lift of the throttle, which is what you do because you don't lift off the throttle because that's super dangerous. But it was like some kind of magical recipe of compressor surge happened with the turbo or something, where it got into like this thing where it basically just tried to kill me, and it literally just tried to swap ends. It was pretty terrifying, and that is maybe it's as simple as having a dump valve on it, but the car in itself is a widowmaker, they call them anyway, but it is quite a handful to control at the best of times. But when you have 600 wheel horsepower, it is
what are you going to do with it? Like, it's all good telling your friends about it, but
so that oh my god, the Tuttle natural.
We were talking about it, weren't we? Craig told me about that, and I watched the Chris Harris video on it, and I'm not a Porsche person.
300 and something horsepower, 380 horsepower.
But probably even that would be too much for me on the road. I got this thing where probably 200 horsepower, light car.
Yep.
Because the roads I want to go down aren't dual carriageways.
Yeah.
That is it's a car that you can rev on the road.
Yeah. There is so much to be said for the balance of power to chassis.
I mean, it's probably a GT86. That's probably my perfect car.
I mean, we have talked about them. It's just
they held their money really well though. They need to be cheap.
Yeah. As a fun car, with the correct amount of power, it's probably that, isn't it?
On the road, I think. Yeah.
So I don't know what I'm going to do about the Porsche, because obviously I absolutely love it, and I love the hilarity of it as well. The fact that it can do that is actually pretty good fun. But I'd rather not die or have it on its roof.
No, it's not a car you'd want to crash, is it?
It's not. You look at the A-pillars on it, you look at a modern car A-pillars, and you look at the A-pillars on that thing, it is not a car you want to crash. So Yeah.
Next.
Where was I? Comments. Loading. Let's have a look on here. Oh no, it's lost them all.
What does that say?
What's the deal with the turbo Mustang? You're turning left in 6 miles.
Right. The deal is
yeah.
we've gone through that and it's at home. It's fine.
Yeah, it vanished from the channel. Didn't live up to expectations.
That's fast.
Just, yeah.
My interests have changed as well. That's the thing.
Yeah. And it takes so long to do the stuff that we do to these cars. You can almost start it with one idea,
exactly.
change your mind 3 times as we do it.
I had this brilliant, idea at the start that I wanted 1,000 horsepower for no reason.
Yeah.
And
it's not actually anywhere near that, but you almost don't need it in any way.
There's no way it needs to be faster, and I don't want to break it because I haven't got the enthusiasm to fix it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's sitting around. It gets used a bit.
Ever thought of a collab with Adam LZ either side of the pond? This is where my...
I don't think we're that big a channel, are we?
Well, no, definitely not. But also, it's where I have almost zero interest in having to play the YouTube game like that. I'm creating friends and collabs for YouTube.
No, we're still a couple of friends that just film what we do. We don't do things just to go on YouTube.
No. And
all the cars that we do are ours.
Yeah, they're ours, and
we would have done it anyway.
Yeah, we would have done it anyway, and it's nice to show you guys. I do watch quite a lot of Adam's videos, and I actually think we've got quite a lot in common in many ways, apart from the moustache, because I can't grow one.
Pedo.
Pedo.
That is a pedo touch. That's why I stopped watching it.
You can't watch him because he's got that moustache. Well, I actually really like his videos, his content. He's really good at driving. But collab wise, I would never in a million years be the guy to go, "Hi Mr. Adam, do you fancy doing a video together where you with your massive channel can get nothing and I can have 1 million views?" So, I understand why people do it, but
are your eyes fit for driving?
My eyes are yours. I mean, you're driving my expensive car. Are your eyes fit for driving?
Yeah, I can squint.
Yeah. You're coming off in 3.8 miles.
What's the road or junction?
M73.
Okay.
This is good. We're killing the miles. Well,
we are. Yeah, it's an easy way to drive to Scotland.
I hope some of you are still watching at the very least. I think I've run out on that one, so I'm going to go back to my Instagram. Let's see what that says. Oh God, it's still coming in. Outsiders 2 is always a thing. Yeah, we've already said that. Somebody's asked the same question on here, or a similar question about our love of drum and bass.
Yes.
So we've already answered all that. V10 M3, would you sell the radiator setup? It needs to be fully tested because it's pushing it, whether it's going to work or not.
We've had it running on 2 fans, and that
not quite enough.
Well, it almost stabilised the temperature, but it still creep up. So with 4 fans, maybe it'll work.
Yeah. Will Driftworks ever hold another Awesome Fest type deal again? That shit was wild. Totally agree.
If we win the lottery.
Yeah, we did try and do one the following year, but lots of stuff happened with Mallory Park that year when we did Awesome Fest. Had done too many events. Is that somebody who watches this?
I don't know.
I think it is. Say hello, you're on camera. We got a fan.
Black horse and white wheels and stripes. Yeah. All right, mate.
All right, mate. I'm lost. Yeah. Awesome Fest. Yes, it was wild. Yes, we did try and do an event the following year. It wasn't allowed. It was shut down by the local parish council because Mallory Park had put on too many events in the year that we did Awesome Fest, and lots of stuff had gone down that they weren't happy with, so it will never happen there again, unfortunately. We have looked at many other places, venues, even outside of this country, to do it. Nothing has been right. So, and also there's a small.
Where am I going? M74. Oh, I did that, and I don't even need that lane.
You good?
Yeah, that says I'm turning off, and that says I'm going straight on though.
Yeah.
Whatever.
M73.
M73.
M73 it says.
Oh, right, I'm in the right lane then.
Yeah.
Right, no problem.
Okay. Yeah, there was a small matter of losing a small fortune doing awesome fest as well.
There is that. I mean, that was you, not me. But
lots and lots of people love it, but we lost
there's a lot of money in those
incredible
days.
amount of money for the size of the business that we were back then. Yeah, massive amount of money. So I'm not saying no never, but it's quite unlikely that it would ever be the same thing, because the laws have changed, and what tracks allow has changed, and we had, I mean, it's mental to even think about it, the size of the stage that we built. And we had who was it? It was High Caliber and
no, it was oh, Wilkinson and his mate.
Yeah, Wilkinson played with. Oh, I can't remember, but yeah, it was absolutely amazing. But yeah, probably not going to happen ever again. Who lost their hair first? Excuse me. Can you see even the slightest? Can you see even the slightest?
Talking of the olden days,
Just because I used to wear a hat.
Oh no, 50. Slow down, car. Phil used to be the white man Rasta with the blonde dreadlocks in the olden days. I mean, this was before I met him, but I've seen a photo.
Yeah. No, I've got a full head of hair. Yes, Jay used to have
sweet locks.
Sweet locks, didn't you?
But age, life.
That's
can't be too sad, can you?
Like say I'm 46, I feel like I'm doing all right, really. But yeah, I always have worn a cap of some kind, and like kind of. Originally, it was because I was a dirty chav, but more recently, as I'm older. Because I wear glasses now, it's actually just like a big part of wearing glasses and living in the UK where it rains a lot and things like that. So, and also I just like it. Never change, never turn into someone you're not. If you're a dirty chav, stay a dirty chav. When are you going to Castle Combe for a track day?
Scary.
It is.
I mean,
a scary place.
Track day.
Yeah.
Maybe a right action day. Certainly not.
Yeah, we've done a lot of driving at Castle Combe. I have.
You have? I've never driven
drift car. It's very fast. It's one of those really weird circuits where it doesn't have enough. If you're not completely familiar with it, it doesn't have enough reference points for turning and braking points, and yeah, things can go wrong very quickly there. But I do enjoy it. What I don't enjoy is their problems with noise, which has meant that a lot of my cars have issues there. Are you going to start any new massive projects like the 86 and the E30? Absolutely not. I mean, I always say at the end of doing a build, so let's say I don't know what the last one that I completed was, Lambo or maybe Porsche, but big builds really take it out of you, and you always end up going, just not doing that again. Like the amount of money you put into it, and not just the money, the time
and the thought.
And, your brain power constantly. You can be middle of the night. I got an idea of how to solve the problem with this, which is part of the fun as well. But yeah, I'm currently still in the phase of thinking I don't fancy doing another one anytime soon. Even with the good people that I've got around me, the V10's turned into enough of a project.
Yeah,
we
just know.
That's as
the thing
close
is,
as it gets.
we don't do the same car over and over again. It's a different car every time, so it's like learning again on every car, and it just. Yeah.
And again, I'll come back
hard.
to people in one of the recent videos were giving us shit for looking like amateurs whilst we're trying to
they were American, weren't they? They were American.
Possibly, but yeah, again, we're just guys who do this for fun on our own cars. What hairstyle would Jay have if he still had hair?
I don't know. I had just long hair, probably still. Well, it wasn't that long, was it? It was like this long. Just a sweet do.
Just a sweet do.
Maybe I'd have a mullet just because I could. But they're a bit trendy now, I wouldn't want one.
They are a bit. There's quite a few people on YouTube, isn't there? How does Phil get time to run DriftWorks, do the DriftWorks YouTube channel, and present Engine Masters?
Phil Burger.
I get called many things. Like some of the more complimentary is Matt Damon, and then I won't say Freiburger's a particularly offensive one, but I do think it's quite funny how many people say I look like Freiburger. Time-wise, if that's in any way a serious question, it is completely down to having really good staff and
you're in the office a lot more at the moment, aren't you?
I am. I will basically move into whatever area I need to dedicate more time. So Jay is unfortunately having to spend quite a lot of time in the workshop by himself at the moment, because I just absolutely have to be in the office fixing problems and making the improvements that we need for the main part of the business. The priority is always obviously the main part of the business. I'll do YouTube when I can, and I'll try and do as good a job as I can with doing something relatively regularly, because
we've all got to eat at the end of the month, haven't we?
It really does damage you if you don't put videos out quite regularly. But yeah, like Jay says, at the end of the day, I've got a lot of staff that are dependent on my business working correctly, and I've also, I've got my own stuff to pay for, and the own things I want to do. So yeah, that will always be the priority over YouTube. What was the turning point in the UK drift scene that caused it to have a decline in popularity and events, and what was peak in the drift scene? So peak for me, I'll answer that first. D1 GB it was called. Not even GP. Yeah, so it was an official.
No, when D1 from Japan came over here, that was peak.
The two, so that was that era though as well.
Yeah.
So they had exhibition matches, two D1 GP exhibition matches.
Yeah.
But actually, the peak for me personally is the D1 GB series,
which you won.
Which I won, which is 2006, and it's one of the coolest trophies that I've seen in UK drifting. It's somewhere in the office.
It was mental for us, wasn't it? Because all we'd seen was Japanese videos.
Yep.
And by then, video on the internet had started to become a thing. So
and we knew all of
all the drivers. We were into everything.
Yeah.
And to see Sushia at Silverstone, like a mystical man that you'd only seen on videos.
Yeah. I mean,
it was and to see the cars,
and also those people then came and judged our D1 GB championship,
and we had Team Orange entered, didn't we? And
so fully amazing incredible time in life, like really, really incredible. And it will probably never happen again, because a lot of it was at massive cost to the guys that were running it then. But that's probably peak. What changed? I mean, there's lots that changes, and I'm not going to get into this too much, because obviously we've been a big part of the scene and helping the various championships in the UK since drifting was invented in the UK. We've been involved, but one of the biggest turning points in perhaps more recent times, and the thing that really I feel has set us back more than anything, is Dave Egan going from BDC, and I obviously understand why he did it. What he's doing with his life and his businesses and the championships that he's running now. Not a patch on. But
there's not many guys like that is the problem. I mean, you've only got to be allowed to talk about Niall.
Yeah, we can. Yeah. Because Niall Gunn is a friend.
You would had the dreams of Dave, basically, didn't he? He just didn't.
The ideas, the aspirations, and the sheer gall
and
to try
on
stuff.
The days where he pulled it off, it was incredible.
Yeah,
but there was always a story.
Drift All Stars, that was.
Yeah.
And really, really cool thing that, as I say, my friend Niall did. But my God, was he terrible at business. He was, he put himself in some really awkward situations financially.
Hopefully he's all right now,
Yeah, I think he is. I think he's in the Middle East.
Right.
Running something. So, still a lot of time for the guy, but he did I never allowed him to fuck me over. There was plenty of opportunities where he could have, but I was like, business wise, I'm not interested in getting involved with you.
We'll come to Wembley, or we'll come to Stratford. That was a good one.
That may or may not happen, and I think that was the demise of Drift All Stars, really, because we turned up at Stratford, one of the coolest British events that's ever happened.
Westfield Shopping Centre, centre of London. Well, centre of London for us.
They wouldn't let us in.
Because
he hadn't paid, and he had no ability to pay. So that morning, I'm pretty sure he handed over the keys to his business for a really small sum of money in full to Extreme, something like that.
Some company took it over or whatever, wasn't it?
And then we were allowed in, and we did the event, and it was absolutely smashing. But
some of those Wembleys and that one, they were to be remembered. I think they were good ones.
What's your worst financial decision and the most crazy idea that landed on both feet? Worst, they're the same thing for me. Worst financial decision, like, let's say the most recent one, Lamborghini. But it did land on its both feet, I guess, in many ways. And that is just through stubbornness, like genuine, like, I refuse to give up. It kind of almost...
Well, there's a point when you can't, because the car has so little value as a chopped up thing.
Yeah.
That you have to sort of see it through.
So I mean, I'd probably say they're probably one of the same layers. Both your backgrounds before Driftworks took off. We've already mentioned Jay was big in the BMW.
I worked at Halfords, horrific job.
Yeah.
And then worked at BMW for nearly 10 years. Learned to hate it.
Yeah. I did really terribly at school, and then worked in petrol station. I worked in Argos. I worked in a bike shop, which I really liked, but got paid terribly.
That was bike shops, probably still is.
And that's kind of where a big part of my love for building things came from, was building bikes, whether it was mountain bikes or flatland or whatever. And then I moved I got a temp job photocopying over summer, photocopying like exam papers and stuff like that for a sixth form college. And then I did such a good job of photocopying.
Did you sell them on the black market?
They gave me a chance. I didn't know.
No, I should have.
They gave me a chance at doing some more stuff there and getting a full-time job. So I worked in a sixth form college doing all sorts, which mostly sort of the technical side of things, so like wiring and some IT stuff. Some AV stuff I did a lot with, running the AV side of like performing arts shows and things like that, which is why I have a hatred of performing arts students.
Everybody does, don't they? Let's face it, it's not a real course.
That was the point where I just about earned enough to get the loan to buy the S14, and then the rest is kind of history. So much of the same. Sorry, as I say, forgive me for the slight delays in this. How's the current tow rig and trailer setup? Any changes you would make?
Beautiful. That's what it is.
There is. As I said earlier, this whole problem I have with backward steps with stuff. Now I have this, which basically drives itself.
Because the Porsche Cayenne, I would class as an embarrassing thing to drive about in.
Yeah, definitely. And me. And that's one of the frustrating things about it, is I dislike owning the car day to day. I'd much rather have like something like an M3 instead of this, even though I don't drive this very often. But that's because I find it quite an embarrassing thing to drive with one person in it when I'm dropping my little girl off at nursery.
You see them and you know the sort of person that's going to get out.
The people who buy these cars for the normal reasons, that's really embarrassing. But and not at all suitable. The RS6 I massively preferred over this in terms of what
crime.
It did.
That just stinks of crime.
And I'm worried about getting it. My
carjacked.
Front door kicked in or get dragged out of it. This I don't have any of that worry, because it's kind of like an old man's car.
But being in it there's not much better, is there?
No, I don't know how you would go better, because we've had the extreme end of the scale with the silly stuff, with the big Chevy Julie and the massive race trailer, which is fun, and it was part of the journey and part of all of the fun stuff that we did.
But it's not like this.
But yeah, this is, I mean, you forget that the trailer's there.
Yeah, like especially when it's empty like this.
It is ridiculously quick, really, really comfortable, really quiet, and that adaptive cruise where it just pretty much steers itself and does what it needs to do. Yeah, really good for long distances. So I was thinking about why I've got this personally, because this is my personal car, and why I don't just buy a Viano or something with Driftworks and have the F80 as my daily driver, sort of semi-sensible car instead of this.
I mean, to
and
be
then have
fair, a Viano, not a Vito, but that has the S-Class style dash, doesn't it? And it's not a bad place to be.
Nah, it's
and as long as
nothing
it's
like this, but
auto,
it's fine.
as long as it's auto and it's got cruise control.
And then we could use it for the business stuff, because we used to have a Vito, which was really useful back in the day.
Incredible, that was, V6
so yeah, I
Vito,
might
wasn't
do
it?
that, but it will be, even if you get the super posh Viano, it will be a massive downgrade in terms of the comfort and luxury side of things.
But
yeah,
much less embarrassing.
it is, but it's not embarrassing when you're towing. That I don't find. I mean,
maybe
it's
not.
completely different to me. The moment, because it's got deployable tow bar, the moment you press that button and you've got a trailer on the back of it with whatever is on there, I think people kind of might see you more as what I think, which is more someone who's seriously into cars, has chosen the best tow rig that you can get, not somebody who has
Footballer.
who can get X amount of finance and what's the poshest black SUV they can get. So yeah, difficult one that, because I love this car for what it does in this respect, but actually really dislike owning it. What's it like? Can you both list all the cars you've owned? Absolutely not.
I probably could. I haven't had that many.
Do you think? Quickly.
Yeah.
Go.
Started with an Nova GTE.
Yeah.
Pulsar GTIR. A86 Corolla with Nissan Micra as everyday car. Kept A86. Got another one. Got a minivan which was scrapped, threw it away. Got a Granada for towing. 2.8 Granada. Fantastic car.
Wicked.
That takes us to E33 25, E36 M3, MX5, E33 without IS, E36 328. That takes us to Mustang, Volkswagen T4 van, horrific. Then Ford FE 150 day van, fun, nuisance. And then we're at where we are now. So I've still got the Mustang. I bought an E30. I've got a Nova GTE. Oh, and a Citroen C1 and a Land Cruiser. And I had a W211 estate.
There you go. So you say that's not that much. That's absolutely loads.
It seems like not many.
Yeah. I smoked way too much weed when I was younger, and my memory for stuff like this is absolutely appalling. I can almost like eliminate like 5 years at a time out of my life, and forget about it completely. And then somebody will say, "What about?" And you're like, "Oh yeah,
I did that."
Yeah. So I'm not even going to bother trying that one. I might do a video one day. He's on my list of. There's a couple of things that I've
get an old photo album out.
Yeah, kind of do that one, all my cars, and also do how we started Driftworks, the business. But as is always the case with anything like this, the work that I would put into creating that video would be astronomical.
It would take days.
It would be days and days and days.
Because you've got to find all the old footage and
then it would do terribly.
Yeah,
honestly, it would probably do worse than like just us
walking around a car park
having a failure trying to start the V10 or walking around Craig's for the day or something. So I just, with the value of my time, particularly at the moment. And it's not something I could get somebody else to do as well. Lots of people say, why don't you get a
well, they weren't there,
an
were
editor, videographer? They don't know. It would all be me anyway, trying to explain.
Yeah, they weren't there to see it. So yeah, what can you do?
Yeah. What's the first two? I'm not reading that one.
What does it say?
I'm not reading now because then I got to edit it out. It's the old Max Power question.
Hey,
do you remember that, when they always used to ask that of the girls?
Yeah, but what we've learned recently, or Fraser told me, was it was the man from Max Power that made up the answer.
Yeah.
I didn't know that at the time. I was a child.
Of course.
I thought it was real life.
Will you bring the Smoking Skills t-shirt back? That is an interesting one. We are designing a kind of
there's a bottom of rainbow there. No gold.
I can't see it, sorry.
It's right there.
Yeah. We're talking about doing a distressed version of the Smoking Skills t-shirt, because it's one of our most known t-shirts and sort of recognisable things, and especially as we've recently bought the S15 back, which is currently Smoking Skills livery. Also, you're planning on attending a track day at the Nordschleife at any time soon? No, I'm not at the moment. I would like to, but nothing, like, it costs so much money. Like, that whole trip, it wasn't just the money, it was the stress leading up to it, so...
Yeah,
I would like to,
but one day.
Do either of you plan to do any circuit racing? I would like to. I look at the MX-5 Cup and things like that, and think that looks like a lot of fun. But not anytime soon. Jay is actually
trying to go rallying.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get a licence, but I'm not very good with colours, and you've got to pass your vision test, so I'm waiting for an email from MS UK basically to see if it's worth spending £100 on the starter pack.
Yeah,
and if I can, we'll go through the forest.
Green flag, red flag, kind of the same for you.
No, flag's never a problem, but I don't know if I should say about track days in case they ban me. But those new really bright lights at track days, I know yellow ones flash, so they're yellow, but the green and yellow is very close.
Green and red.
Green and yellow is the problem on those. Green and red, no problem most of the time, but on bright things like that, not a problem. So yeah, if I can get a licence, I'm going through the forest.
Yeah.
In some sort of BMW probably.
Which will be sick. And I said, you know, I'm not going to be a co-driver for him because I'm a terrible passenger, but I think it'd be quite good to help him in the pits and stuff if I needed to. So we'll see how that goes. Do you like the wrenching and development or the actual driving? Which speaks to you more? Literally 50-50,
yeah.
Probably a little bit more.
I like the driving more.
Yeah, I think that once you've done it, the driving is better. But having the driving is made so much better by the effort that you've put into the build. So having success or even failures, like you're so much more sort of, I don't know, you're just tied in with that vehicle if you've done the development on it yourself. So that's why the E30 in particular I absolutely adore for all of its issues that it's had over the years, the improvements that I've made with it, and how fast it goes for what it is really. I really enjoy that car a lot. Have you been inspired by Matt Armstrong's SEMA build? What would you build and take to SEMA if you could? I haven't. Like Matt Armstrong, he is playing the YouTube game strong and doing an absolutely fantastic job of it, representing us in the UK really well. I do not want that drama in my life.
Like I said, we build cars for us and show you them. We don't, you know, it's a different game then, isn't it?
Yeah. I would like to take my Murcielago to have it shown at SEMA. I would not like to pay a single penny for it though.
So if anybody out there's got a stand,
if somebody wants my car on their stand and is willing to ship it over securely, I will do that. But there is also one part of it that also has to happen, is that I want to actually drive it in America quite a bit and go and see some stuff and do some things in my Murcielago whilst it's in America. So yeah, somebody make that happen that's super rich, please.
It's a mega company.
Right, okay. Future plans with drifting? No, not currently. Like the S15, the old S15, which we've bought back and are redoing, will be coming back together, and we will obviously do some skids in it. Once
It'd be nice to go to Silverstone again.
It would.
Be nice to go to Ireland maybe in it, you know.
Do you ever wish you didn't want your cars to be so low after all the work it takes?
I mean, I wish. Mine aren't that low, it's you.
Yeah. You're fine. Yeah. I don't know, I kind of like that extra effort that I put into all of my cars.
Well, it makes them different from everybody else's.
To make them slightly different to other people's. Like Jay said, and it's like a car guy / girl thing. Like normal people, they would not tell the difference between, you know, somebody who's done this amount of lowering by just doing coilovers or springs, and then me who has done another 8 weeks of work to make it work whilst it's just that much lower. Like, but the real car people will recognise and appreciate the work that's involved to do that, because there's so much nonsense slamming on airbags, stancy seeing stuff that I just allergic to, that, you know, I feel that it's my don't know, it's more responsibility as well to a certain extent to continue doing things in a very stubborn
old man
way, the way that things should be done.
What do they call old men in America? They're like carbs. What do they call them?
What do they call them?
Boomers.
Boomer. Yeah.
We're going to be whatever the next one is.
Somebody called us that.
Did they? I ain't that old.
I had to I'm 46 probably. Yeah.
Nah, that's not old enough.
I had to research what a boomer is, but do you know where you're going now?
Well, I'm turning off here down a B road, so we'll have to be.
See if there's any more, but will you buy any more American cars? Probably not at the moment, no.
But Craig has got a Z28 2015 onwards Camaro in, and it is incredible.
Yeah.
It's owned by man from the olden days, Docra.
Oh, yeah.
So it's his car, blown up.
Cool.
It's absolutely incredible. Am I going here? Down this little track?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not doing that to us.
No, it's probably the way.
Yeah. Which E30 suspension works better, the one on Jay's E30 or the E36 setup on Phil's M3?
Well, you've got
mine. Yeah, mine is Monopro. Mine is HSD Monopro, which is the more track focused, better. Inverted monotube, stronger damper setup.
But for every man on the street,
yeah,
don't start that game. Just bolt the kit on and go and have
fun. So the HSD dual techs that Jay's got on his E30 work really well on track, and do 90% of the job, I'd say. But yeah, both fantastic. But mine is more of a
racing car,
proper racing car suspension.
Mine, for the amount of time I want to put in.
Yeah.
Perfect.
What's the most fun per money car you have driven? Oof. My compact, actually. My
they were good.
Compact 328.
Yeah.
Compact welded diff with HSD monopros on it and
lock spacers.
No.
I
had the DriftWorks adapters on mine, those knuckle adapters.
Yeah, but no fancy hubs in those days.
It was an absolute beast.
And this was the days when you could build that car for 1,500 quid.
And we did, turned more laps and burnt more tyres and stuff like that than any of my competition drift cars. So a lot of time for that, and taught me a lot. Round old Birmingham wheels, which is a very sad thing to be discussing because that's kind of
shut. It's still there, but shut.
Yeah, thanks HS2. Would any of you two buy an EV? No.
Oh no. My wife had one for a couple of years, and for what it was fine. But I have no interest in. To come to work and back.
Yeah,
from my house to work and back.
It's an alternative to your Citroen. That is. Yeah.
Yeah, but as anything else, absolutely not.
So I own one because James, my business partner's company car, is a Tesla Model 3 Performance or whatever it's called, the dual motor, and I drove that before he did. I had it for 3 days, and hilarious for 20 seconds. Then you just want to be like illegal all the time. Pulling away from traffic lights.
Yeah, I say that when we had ours, it made sense. It was the car was £99 a month, no deposit. Yeah. I think it was another £60 for the battery, so 160 quid a month. You got a brand new car. Charging on the motorway was free. I think charging out of your home was free actually, still at the time, and it made sort of sense then, but not now.
Yeah. And I've driven a Taycan as well, because I did have the question in my mind as to whether I was just being silly about
stubborn old
EVs.
Boomer.
Yeah. So yeah, I had a Taycan for a bit, and it's in every way that this is really impressive to be in, and really comfortable and quiet and incredibly powerful. It's got all of that, except it does not have a massive V8 making good noises. So yeah,
it's got a turbo badge. Why's it got a turbo badge?
Yeah, wrong. But yeah, so no, not short of it. Not anytime soon, maybe, but yeah. Kind of related to the other question, whose E30 is more fun to drive? I'd say, based off what I've seen, both are the same, just kind of different levels of speed.
If you want to terrify yourself, go Phil's.
Yeah.
If you want to have a nice day out and just get about a bit, 200 horsepower's fine. Yeah. These roads got quite narrow, quite quick, didn't they? I guess that's Scotland.
Your 964, do you think they live up to the reputation of being dangerous due to rear drive and rear engine? Yeah, in the wrong hands, and also when you do what I've done to it, it's made infinitely worse / more dangerous. What's the resolution for Lambo engine bay heat? Airbox we're working on. that in at some point in the future. Got other projects ongoing. Oh my god, there's some big old questions here that probably need their own video.
Right.
Did Driftworks start out doing work on customer cars in-house? Wondering how you have space and lifts. No, we've never worked on customer cars, and we never will.
The lifts came for building the drift cars, didn't they?
Yeah, so it's for race cars, drift cars, and for product development. And we've always had them, and we've always done all the work.
And once you have them, you can't go back, can you?
Yeah, exactly. So it's a large part of the floor space is taken up by workshop, but it's still a really important part of making us different to all the other companies that shift boxes out there. We sort of have a lot more hands-on development and testing time.
20? Are we in Wales?
Wales, Scotland. So yeah, no, we never have worked on customer cars because customers in that capacity are quite challenging to deal with from everything that we've seen. You can make a lot of money if you do things right, but it's a lot more stress. Do you feel the so-called bigger YouTube pressure to keep buying bigger and better cars? Absolutely not. No. As Jay said, nothing is done for YouTube. We have discussed it in strategy meetings with the business side of things, and we might do some more.
Yeah, Starkey's keen, isn't he?
Yeah, to things, but yeah, nothing for me planned. So I think probably that's a really long video, and as we're in the middle of nowhere,
close, and we probably need to ring the man to find out where we're going.
We should probably sign off. So yeah, there's a load of questions that we didn't get to answer. So if you asked a question and we didn't, I will try and answer it in the comments wherever you asked it. Bump. But yeah, that's probably about it. Thank you very much for watching. Thanks as always for shopping at driftworks.com. If you fancy grabbing yourself a pretty cool t-shirt, we've got the 964 Fuji t-shirts back in stock, along with the Omamari.
A bag of monk.
Yeah, a bag of monk, as Jay calls it. So yeah, head on over to Driftworks, check that out. If you feel like buying something to support what we do, that is always much appreciated. And we will see you in the next one. Cheers.